Today we are going over the most brutal stories of revenge in human history. Not petty arguments, not small grudges. These are calculated, methodical, absolutely devastating campaigns of payback that change the course of history. Buckle up. We are starting this list with quite possibly one of the greatest ride-or-die stories in human history, when Olga of Kiev led one of the most terrifying and calculated tours of revenge following the brutal execution of her husband. It is the year 945, and Prince Igor is ruling over Kievan Rus, an empire that once stretched over modern-day Ukraine, Bulgaria, and a bit of Russia. To his west live the Drevlians, a tribe who actually kind of hate the Kievan Rus but occasionally fight alongside them against the Byzantine Empire. When Igor's father Oleg dies in 912, the Drevlians see it as an opportunity to finally stop paying their tribute, aka their forced protection money, to Kiev. Igor patiently waits for his money for 33 years until finally deciding, you know what, 34 years would be just too long, and personally travels to the Drevlian capital city of Iskorostan to collect his money himself. He rides into the city with a large army and demands tribute, which the Drevlians begrudgingly pay. And that should have been the end of it. Igor should have gone on to live a long, happy life. But on his ride home, he feels the tribute was just a little too small. So he turns around with a few of his men and heads back to Iskorostan to demand more. When Igor arrives back at the city and begins shouting his demands, the Drevlians surprisingly do not like this. And they immediately kill his men. Igor is saved for an extra horrific execution. The Drevlians bend two birch trees toward each other and tie one of Igor's legs to each tree. Once Igor's legs are fastened, they cut the supports and the trees snap back to their original form, ripping Igor into two pieces. The Drevlian ruler, Prince Mal, is now feeling pretty good about himself and sets his sights on taking over the larger empire by marrying Igor's widow, Olga. And this is where things all go downhill for the Drevlians. Because Olga, she is the wrong person to mess with. Prince Mal sends 20 of his best ambassadors to Kiev to inform Olga what happened to her husband and to propose that she marry him to combine their territories. Surprisingly, she seems to take this news well and tells the messengers that they should go back to their boat to rest for now, and that tomorrow her men would bring them back to the city to get her answer. The next morning, Olga's men walk down to the shore to get the ambassadors. But instead of just leading them into the city, they pick up their entire boat with all 20 men still in it. The ambassadors are blown away by this hospitality. What service? They are being treated like royalty. Until the ride suddenly gets really bumpy. See, all through the night, Olga had her men digging a huge trench. And when her men arrive with the Drevlian ambassadors, she orders them to dump the boat and all the men on board into this huge hole. She then orders them to bury these messengers alive. The Drevlians can do nothing as dirt is slowly piled on them until they are buried alive. But Olga is just getting started. She then sends her own messengers to Iskorostan to ask Prince Mal to send his most distinguished men to Kiev to escort his soon-to-be bride. The Drevlians, not knowing what happened to the first group, comply and send a party of lords and powerful men as escorts. When they arrive in Kiev, Olga tells these distinguished guests to relax in a bathhouse her men had prepared, and that she would meet with them after they have freshened up. Her men lead the Drevlian nobles to the bathhouse. And once they are inside, her men lock the doors and set the bathhouse and all the men inside on fire. Olga then sends more messengers to Iskorostan asking Prince Mal to prepare for her arrival. She says she wants to hold a funeral feast for her late husband near the city. Prince Mal, still completely unaware that she has already murdered 40 of his best men, agrees. Olga arrives with a small entourage, and the Drevlians throw a massive feast in her honor. They eat, they drink, they celebrate the upcoming marriage. And when the Drevlians are completely drunk, Olga gives the signal. Her soldiers, who have been hiding nearby, storm in and slaughter 5,000 Drevlians at the feast. But even that is not enough. Olga returns to Kiev, raises an actual army, and comes back to Iskorostan for a full siege. The Drevlians, now realizing they are completely screwed, barricade themselves in the city and refuse to surrender. The siege drags on for a year. Finally, Olga sends a message. She says she will forgive them if they just pay a small tribute. 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from every household. That is it. The Drevlians, desperate and exhausted, agree. Olga collects the birds. And then she has her soldiers tie pieces of cloth soaked in sulfur to the legs of every single pigeon and sparrow. At night they release the birds. The birds fly back to their nests in the city. And Iskorostan burns. The entire city. Every building. Every home. Burned to the ground. The Drevlians who try to flee are either killed or enslaved. Prince Mal is captured and executed. And Olga returns to Kiev, having completely annihilated the people who killed her husband. She becomes Saint Olga, one of the first saints of the Eastern Orthodox Church. A woman who buried men alive, burned them in bathhouses, got them drunk and slaughtered them, and then burned their entire city to the ground. That is the kind of saint you do not mess with. Now let us go back even further, to 75 BCE, to a young Roman nobleman named Julius Caesar, who gets kidnapped by pirates, and decides to turn it into the worst mistake they ever made. Julius Caesar is 25 years old. He is not yet the conqueror of Gaul. He is not yet the dictator of Rome. He is just a nobleman traveling across the Mediterranean when his ship is attacked by Cilician pirates. They capture him, take him to their island hideout, and demand a ransom of 20 talents of silver, a massive sum. Caesar, even as a prisoner, is offended. He tells them, 20 talents? I am worth at least 50. And he convinces them to raise his own ransom. While his men go to gather the money, Caesar spends nearly 40 days as a prisoner on the pirate island. And instead of being terrified, he treats the whole thing like a vacation. He exercises. He writes poetry. He performs speeches for the pirates and gets annoyed when they do not applaud enough. He jokes with them. He plays games with them. And every single day he tells them, smiling, that when he is free he is going to come back and crucify every single one of them. The pirates think this is hilarious. This arrogant Roman kid threatening them. They laugh. They think he is joking. He is not joking. The ransom is paid. Caesar is released. And the first thing he does is go to the nearest Roman naval base, raise a fleet, sail back to the pirate island, and capture every single one of them. He recovers his ransom money. And then he does exactly what he promised. He has every pirate crucified. All of them. Nailed to crosses and left to die slowly on the shore. Because Julius Caesar does not make idle threats. If he says he is going to kill you, he is going to kill you. This is the man who would go on to conquer Gaul, invade Britain, cross the Rubicon, and become dictator of Rome. And it all started with a group of pirates who thought kidnapping him would be easy money. They were wrong. Now let us go to Japan. To a story so legendary that it has been retold in plays, films, and books for over 300 years. The story of the 47 Ronin. A tale of loyalty, honor, and revenge so pure that it became the defining example of the samurai code. It is 1701. Lord Asano Naganori, a young daimyo, is summoned to the shogun's court in Edo to help organize a ceremony. While there, he is supposed to be instructed by a court official named Kira Yashinaka. But Kira is a corrupt, arrogant man who expects bribes from everyone he teaches. Asano, being honorable, refuses to bribe him. And Kira, insulted, begins to publicly mock and humiliate Asano. Day after day. In front of other nobles. In front of the shogun's court. Calling him ignorant. Calling him incompetent. Pushing him to the edge. Finally, Asano snaps. He draws his sword and attacks Kira inside the shogun's palace. He wounds him, but does not kill him. And this is where everything goes wrong. Because drawing a sword inside the shogun's palace is forbidden, punishable by death. It does not matter that Kira provoked him. It does not matter that Kira is a corrupt official. Asano broke the law. And the shogun orders him to commit seppuku, ritual suicide. Asano obeys. He dies with honor. And his lands are confiscated. His family is disgraced. And his samurai, over 300 of them, become Ronin. Masterless warriors with no lord to serve. Most of them disappear into society. But 47 of them, led by Asano's chief retainer Oishi Yoshio, make a secret pact. They will avenge their lord. They will kill Kira. No matter how long it takes. But they know Kira is expecting them. He has hired guards. He has fortified his home. He is watching for any sign of revenge. So the 47 Ronin do something brilliant. They pretend to give up. Oishi, the leader, moves to Kyoto and becomes a drunk. He spends his days in brothels and bars, drinking, gambling, wasting his life. People mock him. They say he has dishonored his lord's memory, that he is a coward. Even his own wife leaves him. But it is all an act. He is making Kira believe that the Ronin have given up, that there will be no revenge. For nearly 2 years, Oishi plays this role. And slowly, Kira begins to relax. He dismisses some of his guards. He stops being as vigilant. And that is when the Ronin strike. On the night of December 14, 1702, in the middle of winter, the 47 Ronin gather in secret. They put on matching armor. They arm themselves with swords, bows, and spears. And they march to Kira's mansion in Edo. They split into 2 groups. One group attacks the front gate. The other attacks the back. They move with perfect coordination. They cut down Kira's guards. They fight their way through the mansion. and they find Kira hiding in a shed in the courtyard, trembling in fear. Oishi offers Kira a chance to die with honor, to commit seppuku like Lord Asano did. Kira refuses. He begs for his life. So Oishi beheads him, with the same dagger that Lord Asano used to kill himself. They take Kira's head, wash it in a well, and carry it to Sengakuji Temple, where Lord Asano is buried. They place the head on his grave, and they kneel. Their mission is complete. Their lord is avenged. But they know what comes next. They have committed murder, and the shogun cannot ignore it. They turn themselves in, and they are sentenced to death. But because they acted with honor, because they followed the samurai code, they are allowed to die by seppuku instead of execution. On February 4, 1703, all 47 Ronin commit ritual suicide, and they are buried next to their lord. Their story becomes legend. They become symbols of loyalty, sacrifice, and the samurai code. Every year, thousands of people visit their graves. They are remembered as the ultimate example of what it means to serve with honor, to avenge your lord, to die for a cause greater than yourself. Now let us go to the biggest revenge story in history. The revenge that destroyed an empire and killed millions. The revenge of Genghis Khan. It is 1218. Genghis Khan has already conquered most of Central Asia. His Mongol Empire is the largest the world has ever seen, and he is looking to expand trade, not war. He sends a caravan of 500 merchants to the Khwarazmian Empire, a massive Muslim empire that controls modern-day Iran, Uzbekistan, and parts of Afghanistan. The caravan is led by Mongol ambassadors carrying gifts and a message of peace. When the caravan reaches the city of Otrar, the governor, a man named Inalchuk, accuses them of being spies. He seizes their goods, and he executes all 500 merchants and the Mongol ambassadors. Then he sends their heads back to Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan is furious, but he is patient. He sends another embassy to the Khwarazmian Shah Muhammad II, demanding that Inalchuk be handed over for punishment. The Shah, instead of apologizing, kills one of the Mongol envoys and sends the others back with their beards shaved off, a humiliating insult. That is it. Genghis Khan declares war. Not just on Inalchuk, not just on the governor, on the entire Khwarazmian Empire. He raises an army of 200,000 Mongol warriors, and he invades. What follows is one of the most brutal military campaigns in human history. The Mongols sweep through the Khwarazmian Empire like a plague. City after city falls. Samarkand, Bokhara, Balkh, Nishapur. Every city that resists is destroyed. Every inhabitant is killed. The Mongols do not take prisoners. They do not negotiate. They erase entire cities from existence. When the Mongols reach Otrar, the city where the merchants were killed, they besiege it for 5 months. When it finally falls, they capture Governor Inalchuk. And Genghis Khan orders a death fitting for the man who started this war. They pour molten silver into his eyes and ears. He dies slowly, screaming. Shah Muhammad II flees. He runs from city to city trying to escape the Mongols. But they chase him, relentlessly. He dies on a small island in the Caspian Sea, broken and terrified. His son tries to continue the fight. The Mongols hunt him down too. The Khwarazmian Empire, one of the most powerful empires in the world, is completely destroyed. Millions are dead. Cities that stood for centuries are now rubble. All because they killed 500 merchants. Genghis Khan's revenge was not about justice. It was about sending a message. Do not touch what is mine. Do not insult me. Do not think you can kill my people and walk away. Because if you do, I will erase you from history. These are the most brutal revenge stories in history. Olga of Kiev, who buried, burned, and destroyed an entire people for killing her husband. Julius Caesar, who crucified an entire pirate crew because they underestimated him. The 47 Ronin, who spent 2 years planning the perfect revenge for their lord. And Genghis Khan, who wiped an empire off the map because they killed his ambassadors. Revenge is not about anger. It is about sending a message. It is about making sure that anyone who wrongs you understands that there will be consequences. These people did not just get mad. They got even. And they did it in ways that history will never forget.